Good morning. This is a quick Candlelight Games Google Drive update. Again, this is the collection of free games, books, updates, files, extra stuff for people who play our Candlelight games. Some of these, of course, are add-ons for some of my favorite games out there. We have a add-on for Midfield Football. We have an add-on for Play Action Football Express. These by Clark and Addison games. And again, almost everything that I produce, I've said this before, I'll say it again, I don't sell games, I sell books. My books just happen to feature my games. So my goal, of course, is to provide a way for people to get into this hobby and to enjoy this, and also to try it from another angle, fictional leagues, modify and tweak their own leagues. Of course, thank God for gentlemen like Rodney who have created the entire history of sports for my games, etc. So you can also use them to play your favorite seasons, your favorite teams in history, your favorite players. But this is an update, so I'm rambling. So my point is, there has been a couple of additions, so this is a quick update. So I wanted to talk about where's it at? I've already forgotten what I wanted to talk. Okay, so again, the Sports Times Complete book used to be a free file, and I removed it to I had culled much of my stuff down to try to avoid confusion. And I've talked about these. I think people who are longtime subscribers and fans kind of know what's going on with my games now. But it just dawned on me, well, why should I restrict it? Because it might be confusing for some people. So I've put Time Sports Complete book back up free, and as well as the D66 personal designers version of the D66 football game I was playing in the last video. So for the last video, if you want to see me use that version, they are both back here free. You can also buy these. Again, I don't sell games, I sell books. The books just happen to feature my games. You can actually buy these in paperback from Lulu in 6x9, saddle stitched, again, if you want to. But if not, they are free. But here's the caveat. You're going to want to fit to page. These are set for 6x9. So when you go to print these on your home computer, fit to page, so they'll fill out the full 8x10, 8.5 by 10. So for those who may remember this was available in a paperback for a short time on Lulu years ago, and it was available as a free document. I've decided to put it back up here as I've been reminded how much fun this version of the games were. And I can say that without compunction, because just glancing at it, as ridiculous as it sounds, and looking at the football game and playing a couple of games of football, I am instantly reminded, oh yeah, I had this very fun comeback rule. And this inspired me to make this, over the last couple of days, my own version of my D66 football that if somebody were to say, Jason, it's you have 30 minutes to play a full game of football, what version are you going to grab for a full game of version? Well, it's going to be Football Time Complete or Football Time Definitive, or it's going to be Football Time Scrimmage Deluxe, or it's going to be Time Sports D66 Football Simulator, or it's going to be this. And it would probably be right now this, because this is everything that I appreciate in a fast play full football game. That is static special teams, variation in dynamic production, automated, meaning I don't have to call offense or defense. I can just roll the dice and get results, etc. So that book, anyway, the very latest book that is that I just, again, set to be published on Lulu for me, but I set it so people could purchase it if they want. The very latest, as of this morning, May 5th, is available free too. So again, never fear, you don't have to buy any of these. But again, the caveat is they're set for 6x9. I always write my books with the same font and the same size for my Lulu catalog. So when I print them, I always have them. I literally can put them on my bookshelf. They all fit beautifully together in a catalog of games. So if you print this on your home computer, again, you want to set fit to page so it's the proper size. So again, this obviously, I've used the 11 to 66 D6 or the 36 pips, but D66 football dice for many of my games. Why D66? Well, I like 36 results. Plus, I love rolling. I like using 6-sided dice. Everybody has them, and my enjoyment of APAW and using the 11 to 66 range and loving how simple that is. I wanted to make sure all of my fast play games used a similar dice system. They're not at all the same. The games are not remotely interchangeable. I mean, completely different results, completely different games. I'm just talking about the dice system. The dice system is this D66 is used in many games. But my point is, you're going to find my concepts, though, with the time sports games are all very similar, as they are matrix result charts. Some have dynamic special teams, dynamic returns, etc. Some have static. This one features my favorite ways I like to play tabletop football games. Okay, so this would be the designer's game. This would be the one I choose to play, is because of static. So it's using, and by the way, don't forget, it's completely compatible with any version of Football Time. However, it is specifically designed for Time Sports Complete, which is this version right here, which uses the universal creation charts, universal off-season charts, and the universal matchup matrix charts. So this chart right here for matchups is also repeated right here in this book. So, you look at my home team's offense versus the visiting team defense, the visiting team's offense, and I get my game grades for those two teams, and that's going to dictate their production charts. So this is offense. The offensive production roles come in 3 charts: A, B, C, and D, F. Right, but matching up for the static results, you got to look at the place kicker versus the opponent's return man to get their static kick return numbers for every kickoff return for each team. The punt net for each team. These are static. You don't adjust them. Again, I've said it before. I know many people. They despise static results, and I understand that they want of dynamism and a variable results. So again, the D66 Time Sports Football Simulator is variable for kickoffs, punts, etc. Again, this was made for me and the style of football I like to play. Field goal is very simple. Again, it's a line of scrimmage and the rating of the kicker, what he has to roll above to make the kick. So this is again, I don't use static field goals and PATs. I do use, it's static in that an A kicker is automatically good in this range, but outside of that, you have to roll for other kickers, right? Okay, and then we have the offensive production charts, which are D66, but then we have event charts, which are static. So A offense, the raw grade versus the raw defense is on an event would be an incomplete pass for that A offense. And that's it. You don't roll anything for events for teams. You do roll to see if the turnover is a fumble or an interception, and on long gain, you roll to see if it's a long run or a long pass. And again, the static long gains, these don't adjust. So if this team against an A defense hits 3 long gains in the game, he's going to get 35, 35, 35, right? They cannot do better than that against this A defense. And an F offense against the A defense is never going to do better than a 15 max gain on the long gain event charts. So you'll see how that works. Again, this is an acquired taste. I know most people do not like set results, but I do, because I like to minimize dice rolls. Matter of fact, for a tabletop board game fanatic, I actually don't like a lot of dice rolls. I want every dice roll to mean something, and so I don't like just constantly picking up and rolling dice over and over and over and over. So this is one reason I'm a big fan, and it saves time. It's a flat out. It's just very simple to know that in this game, if my A offense against their B defense comes up on an event, I already know, and I know instantly it's a sack, and then I'll know that A defense caused a 12-yard loss right there. It's a static sack. So an A defense is always going to get 12-yard sacks. An F defense will always get a 3-yard sack. So yes, that's set. But remember, this is over the course of a game, over the course of a season. Again, it's static, so people are going to absolutely hate it. You can use the other game if you like to, or other games ideas. All right, and then of course because this was designed solely to be used with my professional big country football leagues, or my professional leagues of whatever type, I set the positions to timing to 20 for a pro football game, or 30 ticks from scrimmage. So you could actually do time. You could tick plays from scrimmage. I define what possessions mean. Onside kicks, extra possession rule with a comeback rule. The punt and field goal block rule. The peak return man chance for a kick touchdown rule, or long gain. Actually, it's not a touchdown, it's a long gain. So even though you have a peak return man, he might only get a 35-yard punt return, or a 75-yard, or 35, whatever. So it's not an automatic touchdown. So if I roll a 66, I look at the punt returner here, and if the punt returner is a B versus a C defense, he would return the punt 40 yards, not a touchdown, right? Okay. And then I've got my cap rules, which are now, again, these rules are in other books, and they're used for all of my sports games. So I put them in here to define them for any of the sports games. And then, of course, the specialized version of the cap rules for this particular football game, using the paradigm, which you saw me go through. Hopefully, if those of you who are following these videos, you've seen me go through the off season for my Big Country League using this paradigm to change the team ratings. And then I give a sample of what a Time Sports Complete full roster would look like. Your management with their cap ratings, their final team grades, and also reminding you the return man is a B, the punter is a C, and the place kicker is a C. And then, how I set up my finders for either every snap or for just touchdowns, fumbles, etc. The running finders, D6, the players with their cap rating and their reception value. And then the special teams, the player with their cap value. Again, you could also put out their rating. Punter, we already know is a C. The return man, we know is a B. And the place kicker is a C. So you could also add those grades here to remind you. And then the defensive captains and their propensity for getting sacks, fumble recoveries, and interceptions. Defining what R means rookie, P means peak, and V means veteran, and that notation of allocations for stats is a sample. So that's a sample team sheet. And then the optional rules, these are what I had forgotten to put in the book before I published it to Lulu. So if you purchase the book from Lulu, it will not have these two rules in it. But again, there's now a free version here, so you can grab the free update version printed out. The comeback rule, teams can use their raw comeback rating on all charts in the final possession or extra possession if they're losing the game. Obviously, some teams have a bad comeback. You're not going to want to use the comeback rating, right? A team with an F comeback is going to want to avoid using the comeback rule. These are optional anyway. You don't have to use these at all. And then a simple Hail Mary rule, the final play of the game, usually a fourth down, final play, desperation, bomb. You roll the D66. If you roll the 66, it's a 75-yard pass. It's not a touchdown. It's a 75-yard pass. Max. So if you're inside 75 yards, you might as well throw a Hail Mary if you're down in the final moment and throw the ball. And usually it will come on the final play of the game. A roll of 11 would mean the defense picks it off, ends the game, or a roll of 22 means the quarterback goes down in a heap and the game is over. And then, of course, my all rights reserved for this book. But again, wanted to make sure people knew that these were now back up here completely free. So you can download and print. Just remember, print fit to page, so you don't print 6x9 text on a large piece of paper. Okay. Next up, updating these charts. For those who don't know, there is the Time Sports books. Again, I know it sounds confusing, but I'm not going to apologize for having my Time Sports books. People can look at them and decide what they want to play. So yes, there are different versions, but again, they're free, so take it or leave it. I've talked about this already before. My early first versions of the Time Sports that were in a book. This is a new cover, etc., and it was retyped and rewritten. But these are some of my favorite fast play versions of the games. And also, this particular book contains the one of my favorite basketball versions. So the reason I'm talking about this, so this version of Basketball Time, and the reason I bring it up is this is what the rosters look like. Players are rated in a number grade. You'll have your 6 actual rated players, and then you'll have your bench players, which are zeros. This particular basketball game here, this also features who scores points. You have a point scoring option. So even though you're fast playing games, you can then use this to determine how many points your guy scored for the game per quarter. Okay, why do I bring this up? Again, because I have a test play D66 basketball game solely for this version of basketball. So let me say that again. The Time Sports book, which is available in paperback or here for free, this particular version of Basketball Time, which uses these players' grades and these rules, there is a full bore basketball sim. So you literally roll 30 possessions per quarter, 30 possessions per quarter for pro ball, 120 possessions in a game. College ball is 45 per half, 90 per game. And you're literally going to roll to bring the ball in court, up court. The first indicator is the ball handler. The second indicator is the defensive matchup. So, and this is, I've play tested it. It works great, but this is technically still in, I would call this the beta stage. There may be some tweaks. So all the rules are in just 3 pages. It's a chart game. There's not really a book of rules. So you kind of have to figure it out. But I try to identify and define everything. So this is a full basketball sim. It's gonna take you quite a time. You're gonna be rolling at minimum, for a pro game 120 times, to resolve every possession in a basketball game. So this is not a fast play game. It's a simple game, but it's not a fast play game. So you'll roll to see the matchup. So we got my point guard with the ball coming up the court, and he's going to be in a matchup against the power forward. Somehow, some way, point guard is maybe driving to the bucket against the power forward, right? I come down here, and let's say my point guard is a 2+, and the power forward is a 0. That would be a 3 shot chance for my point guard. I'd roll another D6. So again, this is perfect for a 3D6 game. You want to use a D66 and a third die for the ball handler chart. And let's say I roll a 32, and my point guard ends up a +3, and I roll a 4. It's a bucket plus he draws actually it'd just be a bucket. So my point guard would come down the court, and in some way, somehow, my point guard will end up in a drive to the bucket. Power forward will step over, attempting to defend the bucket, and it's a finger roll. So my point guard may be off the glass, a bucket, and that's it. That possession's over. And now we're bringing it in court for the visiting team, right? And they roll this chart, and they do the same thing here. You have a choice when you get the roll. Before you look at this chart, you have a choice to pass. So you could roll this chart again. So let's say my power forward, let's say matchup. We know my power forward is a 0, and let's say I roll power forward versus power forward. So now my power forward is a 0. He's got the ball down low, backing down the defensive power forward. Let's say the defensive power forward is a 1. So it'd be a -1 for my power forward, and that was right here. And I choose to pass. So I pick up the D66. I roll again. Let's say I get my small forward against the power forward. Let's say it's even. I like these odds. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot, and I roll a 3. It's a rebound, right? And then we check the rebound. Another D6 roll will tell you which defender gets the ball or the loose ball. And a 5 or 6 is an offensive rebound, and we get to reset on this chart on an offensive rebound. Okay, so it's very simple. If there's a foul, a PF, personal foul shows up, right? You just go over here, and whoever had the bucket, whoever had the ball when the personal foul occurred. So let's say my shooting guard with a 2 is fouled by the center, right? I rolled a shooting guard on the center as he's, again, maybe driving to the hole, and the center hacks him. And let's say it's a 2 versus 1, so I'm a +1. And I roll that 1. It's going to be a personal foul against the center. And my shooting guard uses his raw grade to shoot. A D6 roll of 5, it's a bucket. So he makes that bucket, and then he would get his second shot because he's hacked on a 2-point bucket, and he rolls again. I'll say I roll a 1. He ended up 1 for 2, and they score 1 point on that possession, and then we move on to the next possession. So very simple. Every possession. Every quarter is 30 possessions, and you're just going to go linearly. Home team, or you can again do the jump ball. There is a jump ball here, and then that's who starts the game with the first jump ball possession. And you're just going to go through possessions until the quarter's over. So it's a long game, but it works great. And again, here's an example of what the teams should look like from the Time Sports book. And remember, your bench players are GFC, and they're always zeros. So when the guard shows up here, that's little g means backup guard. So the backup guard would be in the game. He's a 0. And if they're on here without a matchup, that means they're open. So the backup guard would take an open shot. And my backup card's a 0. So my backup guard gets an open shot right here. Or I can pass it. I could choose to pass and roll again. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So if there's 2, it's the ball handler versus the defender. If they're by themselves, that's an open shot, right? And there's not a ton of open shots, but there are certain players that are going to get open shots. 6M means the 6th man. So that means the 6th man's on the court. So let's say my 6th man's a 2+, and he gets an open shot. 2+ would be 3. He's going to get an open shot right here. So he's either gonna miss on just 2 ticks, or he's gonna make it, or even make it and draw a +1 opportunity. And then he would come down here and shoot on the 2+ chart, and he can't miss. So a 2+ player that's fouled cannot miss a free throw. And again, there'll be people who don't like that, right? They'll hate the fact that the guy can't miss. Well, you can always adjust these rules, make your own. But again, this is a playtest doc, 4 Sports D66. So I want to talk about that. And last but not least, for those who have been following me for years, I have added my football fast play stat generators. So I've talked about this. Many of my football stat generators have been in many of my fast play football books. They've also been available in free files. But I decided to put every version of my stat generators that are outside major books also available. So I have other stat generators that are in some books that aren't here, because you have to have those books to get those stat generators, like Big Country Football, a version, I think it was Big Country Football Revised First, has its own stat generators in that book. They don't have a standalone. So let's talk about this. So my fast football games stat generator, this was used for the fictional franchise football and the advanced fictional franchise football, how to generate stats for those instant result games. And those are instant result games. My football stat generator, this was devised for use with pen and paper football. So, at those who play pen and paper football by John M. Stater will recognize the run and shoot, the smash mouth, and you roll a D20 plus a D6 or a rating. This could either be a D20, D6 roll, or it can be the player rating, right? And I don't go into how I would rate the players. It's very easy. And when you create a team in pen and paper football, you roll 3 dice 6 to create your running back score. Your first die could be your first back. Your second die could be your third back, or your second back, and your third die could be your bench back. And those individual numbers could be their ratings for what kind of yardage they get in the game. So after you fast play pen and paper football, you can use this to generate statistics. And you make the modifiers based on whether it was a running team or a passing team or a balanced. You won't make any adjustments. Receivers, same way for all your receivers. This includes all receivers, your top 2 receivers, your tight end, and your 2 backs. You roll up all their production, and then all that production will allow you to determine your quarterback's line based on a formula of completions. So this was designed for use with any fast play football game using a D6 and a D20, but I honed it for use with pen and paper football. So I thought people would get a kick out of this. You'll recognize these charts look very much like my charts for my Big Country Football stat generation, our football time. Then I have my quick play stat generators. People might recognize this from Big Country Football. So Big Country Football 2 is quick play box score points. So you would go through and award points in your fast play games based on box score results. So a team that runs the ball but punts, that would be a 0-point box score. And you'd add them up at the end of the game, and you'd know how many points you need to determine your yardage production for passing, running, etc. And then I walk you through how you score your box scores, and then at the end how you would tally your yardage. So this is a pretty sophisticated, but it allows you to use this. You could use this with fast drive football. You could use it with anything that actually simulates a drive. All you need to know is how the drive ended. Did it end in a punt, a field goal attempt, a touchdown, a first down? Did you get 3 first downs on a drive? whatever, right? So you need to kind of know that and then at the end of the game, every team will have points that they can measure, right? Okay. This is almost probably too much work, right? But I wanted people to have it for Big Country Football. You could use it with anything, but Big Country Football is what it was designed for. And then my season stats, team leaders. This is what I've been using for my Patriot Football League. So I talked about this before. How I generate statistics for the Patriot Football League, whether I play out the games or I fast sim the games or I instant result the games. At the end of the season, I go through based on a team's wins, and I roll to find out what their quarterback did or their running back did, right? So this is the first time ever I have ever shared these charts. These charts have never been shared before. These are what I use for all of my Patriot Football League career. We're in our 33rd season of the Patriot Football League, and I have never shared how I generate. Now, when I was doing Grid Zone for that, you literally tallied up the numbers. So all the Grid Zone stats were literally off the score sheet, so they were legit stat collection. But when I simulate, it's based on wins. So, for instance, let's say the Columbia Coolers in one of my leagues goes 6-1, right? I want to find out what their quarterback did passing. So I come over to the sixth. They finished 6-1. They had a fantastic season, right? I'm going to roll on the 6 wins chart. Doesn't matter how many, because this would go all the way up to the 14 wins or more in pro football. But let's say in my league, Columbia Coolers go 6-1. Right. Let's say they go into the playoffs and they win the championship. They win the playoff game and the championship. They end up 8-1. I'm going to roll this chart for their quarterback, Kingfisher. Let's say I roll a 10. Kingfisher will finish the season having thrown for 2,588 yards. I don't have to use the touchdown interceptions because I can tally them from my box scores. So I count touchdowns and I count turnovers. So they're straight off the box scores from played games. But I don't have yardage, so I could have if I'm tracking yardage, but I don't. I would know that this is what Kingfisher achieved on the year, 2,588. But let's say he threw 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He would have 2,588, 21-2, right? So that's how these work. And again, I have never, ever, in all of my years of sharing files and information, have never allowed this information out. It's not like it's, top secret. It's just for mystery. I like the owners of the teams to know that there's a mystery kind of to the production of their players. Obviously, their turnovers and fumbles, etc., are all generated from the gameplay, but their yardage comes off wins, the number of wins a team gets in the season, right? Okay, and then receptions are here, right, for your receiving leaders. And no, this is not yardage, this is receptions, right? So let's say Kingfisher gets 2,588 yards receiving, but their top receiver catches, again, here it catches 50 touchdowns, right? As far as yardage, you just got to figure out what percentage would the top receiver probably get out of that 2,588. And I usually say your top receiver is going to get between 20 and 27% of the yardage. Maybe more, depending on how many catches it is. I mean, if it's 70 catches, he's getting a lot. He's going to get a lot of those yards, right? All right. So that's something I've never shared before. And voila, now people have seen behind the curtain of how I do my Patriot Football League stats. Last but not least is the stat generator for pen and paper football, which is basically, this was literally made for pen and paper football by John M. Stater. This one is called pen and paper football. It's the same one. So I just had a different name on it. Okay, so it's the same one. I don't really need that in there then. So we can do, let's get rid of this one because it's generic name. So let's get rid of that. We're going to move that to trash. There we go. So now people aren't confused. But there, anyway, all of my fast play. And again, you'll notice that the stat generation that is in, to give you an idea, football time complete. So here's my Football Time Complete. And why is it called Complete? Well, because you got the full career mode, and you have the D66 charts for total football simulation play, and you have special stat generators in this. So remember, I said I use other stat generators in my games that are not in this folder, right? So my football stat generation charts. Where they at? Football stat. Damn it, Jason. Fast play football. There we go. So these are standalone stat generators I made for my games or other games. And then, of course, those who want to play my big boy Football Time Complete, again, the free version. You can get this in a book too, called the Special Edition, which is my best, but I'm not giving that away. But you can get the free complete version. This came out on Christmas of 2025 or 2024. I put this out on Christmas as a free version with a complete career package. And then, of course, it has its own stat generation charts. So again, we have our fullback, halfback, quarterback stat generation charts, the receiving stat generation charts, and the quarterback's completion charts. And then, of course, how to do the D66 complete game simulator. Again, the C charts, the B charts, and the A charts. With static, again, I've said it before, I use static special teams for those who hate it. Sorry, that's in these books. And then, of course, the finders for receptions, carries, sacks, fumbles, interceptions. And then there's a touchdown description and there's turnover description. So when you have a touchdown, you could just roll this chart and see the quarterback through a sideline pass to the split end, and you don't have to use this for the catch. You could just use this for the touchdown. So when you throw a pass that's caught here for 9, you can check this chart and it was to the tight end. But when you throw a touchdown pass, you check this chart to find out. Or when you score a touchdown, TD, you check this chart to see what kind of touchdown. If it's a turnover, you check this chart to see how the turnover occurred. All right, and then, of course, I put in the Patriot Football League 2045 teams are in this book, right? This book became, with further refinement, became Football Time Special Edition, right? And I'll show that to you here. So for those who want to know, right, the Football Time Special Edition is a version of that free Football Time right here, this one, right? So this is a 6x9 coil, lay flat. It has all these charts, just better organized. I think the stat generation charts are, I simplified the, this has a simplified career system, I believe. I might use the same one. I can't remember now. Dang it. I have to get my book out. Anyway, the matchup charts are unique. The fast play charts, right? The score by quarter charts. And then again, the stat charts in this book may be different than in this book. I'm sure they are, right? So, all right. Anyway, this for the long time was my go-to for Patriot Football League. I use this with the Patriot Football League. Matter of fact, the 30th season of the Patriot Football League's in this book, right? Okay, so I think I brought everybody up to speed on the updates here. Last but not least, for those I may have forgotten to make this video, Dell's released his final version of Flash KO Express. This is completely free, Flash KO Boxing Express, so grab that as well for those who want to play Flash KO Express Boxing. That was also released the last couple of weeks, or last week, I think, updated. This is the updated book that Dell released. It's free. There will be there's no paperback of this. I think I updated my football fields. Yep. So I've got my 100-yard field for people who want to use a quick play field, and my 110 field for those who want to play Canadian football. Very simple. I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else new. So to recap, most importantly for this video, Time Sports Complete. You can now get the Time Sports Complete book with 7 sports in it that uses the universal charts. And then there is the Time Sports D66 Creators version. This is kind of my personal version. And then, of course, the Time Sports games book with the D66 full basketball simulator for that version of basketball. So if you're not confused, then I have failed miserably in this video. If you are confused, my advice is download them, browse the stuff, and decide what you want to play. The simplest way to get unconfused is to pick what you want to play. All right, you want to play Big Country Football? Here it is. There's Big Country. Well, that's not free. Where is it at? My Big Country Football Time. Where's it at? Big Country Time Sports. Right. This was the Christmas edition. I gave away the entire big book of the sports games, all of them the advanced versions of the time games. So anyway, long story short, there it is, folks. Take it or leave it, including my latest Parallax Football, flagship football, full football sim, the basic book, the original book, and the complete book. This is the one I recommend if you want the full bore pro football. And then, of course, Rodney's historical rating tome, right? Oh, that's the rating guide. Where's Rodney's tome? Here it is. Canadian teams in the history. And, of course, every single team in history rated for Parallax Football. Thank you, Rodney. That's incredible. All right, everybody. I will just put a simple link to this Candlelight folder. You'll have to go through and find the stuff you want. But there's a lot of stuff in here that's completely complimentary and free. So enjoy. But the most important thing to come away with is that the new D66 Designers Football Engine is here, and the complete Time Sports Complete book is available free here. All right, everybody, have a fantastic and wonderful week. Bye-bye.